What's up, guys? Hokage Puya here. Copa America. We talked about the Euros. The Euros is done. Copa America also finished. And I didn't make too many videos on Copa America during the tournament. To be honest, I didn't think the tournament was that good. It was such a mess. The CONMEBOL mess and everything, how it was organized. I was just kind of turned off from it. But I did watch Argentina's games. And I did watch the big games of the tournament. So I'll be in the know. I'm not just speaking without watching the tournament. You know what I mean? I still watched a lot of it. But I felt a disconnection with Copa America 2024, but it just ended. Argentina won, back-to-back Copa America champions right now, and they're in dynasty mode. Argentina is in dynasty mode. They have won the 2021 Copa, 2022 World Cup, and now 2024 Copa America. They're starting a dynasty now. I don't think they'll win. I don't think they'll win World Cup 2026. I truly don't believe so. I think this is going to be the end of their dynasty. 3 tournaments in a row, which is extremely impressive. And I thought, with this dynasty being formed, let's go over and compare the 2 dynasties of recent history. Spain 2008 to 2012 and Argentina 2021-2024. Now, what this video is going to be, I'm going to break down both teams as best as I can, and I'm going to do it off of what I know from the teams. I watched both of these teams play. I watched all the games at the tournaments that these teams played, right? Most of them. I have a well-established memory of both teams. Obviously, Argentina as much recently, but I do have a very good memory of that Spain team. In fact, they beat my boys 2 freaking times. All right, Euro 2008 final and the World Cup 2010 semifinal. Pain. And I'm going to break down both teams from what I remember, what stood out to me from the teams. And in the end, I'm going to say which team I thought is better. I'm going to go off of what I truly feel. Screw stats, screw everything. Let's go off my memory. Let's go off this football brain I have. Let's break down Spain first. Now, Spain, 2008 to 2012. Amazing team. You guys, sometimes I think, people know how good that Spain team was, right? I know how great that Spain team was, but sometimes I just need a little bit of a reminder as to how stacked that generation of Spanish player was, how unbelievably, unfairly stacked that team was. Let's just go through the names. Casillas in goal. Puyol, Ramos, Piqué, Xavi, Busquets, Iniesta, Xabi Alonso, a guy would come off the bench, Xabi Alonso, guys like Javi Martinez coming off the bench, Thiago, David Silva, David Villa, Fernando Torres, Fabregas. I think I said David Silva. Like the names, Pedro, the names just keep coming. The names just keep coming out of my mouth. And did I say Busquets? The whole Barca thing, whatever. Unbelievably stacked. I think that might be the most, along with some of the great Brazil teams, that might be the second most stacked team of all time. And to be honest, I would go band for band. I would go bar for bar and argue that might be the most stacked international team of all time, even compared to the great Brazil teams. 1998 Brazil, even though they didn't win the World Cup, that was an insanely stacked squad. 2002 Brazil. I would go band for band, bar for bar, and argue that Spain team is just as good, if not better, depth-wise, than that Brazil team. Hot take or not, I don't know. I don't think that's a hot take. That's an insane team. And I'm not even listing all the other players. I'm missing some players. If I went through the whole list, we'd be here for 10 hours. Okay, maybe not 10 hours, but we'd be here for 5 minutes, and no one's going to listen to me read off names for 5 minutes. So, first of all, established, insane team, right? The play style. Now, something that this Spanish team, as great as they were, as much as they won, the only downside to this Spanish team that I remember, guys, and this is, I'm not trying to be biased or anything, I didn't think this Spanish team played exciting football. They weren't this, dynamic, pleasing on the eye team. They would put on great games, right? But, they weren't like they weren't like style technique as a Brazil team, a prime Brazil team, you know what I mean? But they still played a brilliant brand of football under Vicente Del Bosque, and they kept winning, dude. And sure, at times, their games would be close, and they would nick 1-0 wins, especially in that 2010 World Cup. And I'm going to go through every team they played and the result and just their overall tournament performance in the ones they won. And this Spain team would just get the job done. What they had was a great blend of, obviously, absolutely stacked team, right? But they also had a great blend, right, of defensive Puyol and Ramos, man. defensive leaders, the guys who could get the dirty work done. Then you got three of the most technically gifted players of all freaking time in Busquets, Xavi, and Iniesta in the midfield. Then you have a guy in David Villa who David Villa gets his respect, but David Villa was one of those guys for Spain that really showed up for Spain, always would score for Spain. And you would see that across these tournaments, always showing up when his team needed him. And you had a team that, yes, Fernando Torres was a thing back then, and he had a really big part to play in the 2008 Euros win, right? But in the 2010 and 2012, Spain largely played without an out-and-out number 9. They weren't a team that relied on a goal-scoring striker. Goals from everywhere. Really. And I say everywhere with a pinch of salt. Yes, they would get the 1-0 wins. But, in those 1-0 wins Spain would get, they could have easily had 2, 3, or 4. Maybe that's where they lacked that clinical number 9 who could have put away more goals in that 2010 World Cup specifically. And I have a reasoning for that. So let's start with the 2008 Euros. So the 2008 Euros, and the thing is with this Spain, I don't want to go on tangents. 2008 Euros, right? They start the tournament off. 4 goals against Russia. And you guys, this isn't the Russia of today. This isn't, the Russia that's banned. Russia back then. Let's talk about Russia. Russia back then was a dangerous team. Let's speak about Arshavin. Guys like Arshavin. You guys, Russia back then was not this bum team. Russia was a respected European team that would give the big teams trouble. They started the tournament off 4-1 against Russia, 2-1 against Sweden, 2-1 against Greece in those group stages. And that's the defending champions Greece in their group, right? This isn't just Greece 2020. This is defending champions Greece, right? And then they go, and obviously the Euros format at this time for both of their Euros wins was straight to quarterfinals. There was no round of 16. Round of 16 started in Euro 2016, remember? And so they go to the quarterfinals. They beat Italy on pens. That was a world champions Italy. Italy coming off World Cup win. They beat Russia again in the semifinal by a whopping 3-0, and they have a big boy clash with Germany 1-0. They beat my boys. Fernando Torres chipped goal over Lehmann, and they're European champions, and that was their 3rd title. And this Spain team, a lot of those players were young. A lot of those players still had so much time to grow. There was so much talent coming in at that time. Cesc Fabregas was still so young at the time. David Silva was coming up through the ranks of Valencia, I think it was back then. So much talent was coming through. Ramos was still so young back then. Piqué wasn't even Piqué, I think, was a Man United reject at that time still. Or I think he just made the move to Barca. I don't remember. But you're looking at that Spain team and the teams they beat. You guys, Russia was no slouch team. They beat Italy on pens. And then they beat Germany. That was Jogi Löw's first tournament as Germany, right? But that was a very good Germany team. And we know how good that Germany team was because we ended up seeing what they did at the 2010 World Cup. We ended up seeing what they did and ended up winning the 2014 World Cup and their performance at the 2012 Euros. That was a very good Germany team that they beat. It wasn't some slouch Germany team, right? With guys like Schweinsteiger, Podolski, Philipp Lahm, everyone in there, right? Obviously, the era before Ozil, the era before Neuer and Boateng and Hummels, right? But still a very good Germany team. Then they go to World Cup 2010. And they actually lose their opening game, which is something they have in common with this Argentina team that we're going to talk about. They lose their opening game to Switzerland 1-0. And I remember seeing that game. And they did not play good in that game. And I'm thinking, all right, so they're a one-tournament team. This Spanish generation, as good as they are for Barcelona and everything, they're not going to reproduce it at the World Cup, the biggest stage. As big of a stage the Euros is, the World Cup is bigger. The World Cup will always be the biggest. And I don't care what you do at the Euros. If you're crap at the World Cup, I don't care about your Euro. I don't care about what you do at the Euros. Why can't you do it at the World Cup is my mentality. So they start off the tournament 1-0 and like, uh-oh, the European champions losing 1-0. And to be honest, man, the rest of their group stage wasn't that impressive. They beat Honduras 2-0. There's no way you should be losing to Honduras back then. They beat Chile 2-1. That wasn't a bad Chile team. That was a Chile team slowly entering into the age of Vargas, Alexis Sanchez, Vidal, Gary Medel was on that team. Claudio Bravo. I don't think they were in the team back then. They were very young. That generation is about to come. Chile was priming for a back-to-back Copa America win, right? That we ended up seeing when they beat Argentina twice. And so then we get to the knockout stage. And this is where I want to say Spain had a great blend of technical ability, defensive leaders in the back, attacking power, but something that is underrated in teams is the ability to just get the job done. And this Spanish team had the ability to, no matter how close the game is, how cagey it was, to get that goal, to get that winning goal, make that winning play, and to win the game. And you saw all of their knockout stage wins in the 2010 World Cup 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0. All 1-0 wins. 1-0 to Portugal, 1-0 to Paraguay, 1-0 to Germany, and 1-0 to the Dutch. And all of those teams, Portugal, Cristiano Ronaldo was on that team. Yes, they ended up beating Paraguay. That was the big surprise team of that tournament. Germany, 1-0. Footballing-wise, Germany was the best, most attractive football playing team at the 2010 World Cup, and they got the job against them, and they were the better team in that game. They were the better team in that game. And in the final, cagey match against a thuggish, remember that Netherlands team, guys, they weren't this sexy brand of Dutch football or anything. They were thugs. That Dutch football was thugs, and they showed in that final that they can, coming up again, they can cope with the physical teams, because that was a question with the Spanish team. Cool. You have the defensive leaders in the back, but in that midfield, you have these nimble, world-class technical players in Busquets, Xavi, and Iniesta. How will they do when they come up against a team that is going to go out there to kick their legs out from under them, to go out there and bully them on the field? And in the final, they played a team. You guys, that Dutch team was a group of thugs. Van Bommel, Nigel de Jong. Those dudes were out to break your ankles first before getting the ball. And you saw it in the final, Nigel de Jong doing a Sparta kick into Xabi Alonso's chest and getting a red card. And even on a red card, the Dutch fought and made the game nasty. But Andres Iniesta gets the winning goal in extra time. Although, yes, Andres Iniesta got the winning goal. But Ian Robin missed 2 clear-cut chances against that game could have gone differently, but that's where their keeper comes in. That's where they have a world-class keeper and Casillas. Any great tournament-winning team needs to have the best goalie in that tournament, or one of the best goalies in that tournament, and they had Iker Casillas to bail them out. So they just had all the quality in all phases of the game. And then Euro 2012. This, for me, this was the peak of this little dynasty they had. I didn't think in Euro 2008, I thought they were just getting started. I would draw kind of parallels to this Euro 2008 team, to the Spain team that just won the Euros. A young team, still a lot of room to growth, exploding onto the scene. Right? In the comments, let me know if I'm wrong with that, but I feel like they're not the same, right? But I could draw parallels. Euro 2012 was where the Spanish team played their best football. Yes, they started the group stage off with a 1-1 draw to Italy. I understand that. But smashing Ireland 4-0, beating a young Croatia team 1-0. Did I say 1-0 4-0? They beat Ireland 4-0. France 2-0 in the quarterfinal. Portugal beating Portugal on penalties. And then beating and wiping Italy 4-0. That right there, that final, 4-0 in the Euro 2012 final, I still remember that day. The final ended 4-0, and I went to my friend's birthday party down the road. And I remember we were just talking about the game. Oh my God, Spain destroyed them. Right? That 4-0, that was Spanish football, dude. The Italians cannot touch the ball. The Spanish were fullbacks getting involved in the play. That's when Jordi Alba broke into the team. David Silva was getting more game time. Fabregas was getting more game time. You had a team that did not rely on a single striker. And they figured it out. And that's something I wanted to say. In the 2010 World Cup, that Spain team, I think the reason why they had all those 1-0s is because Fernando Torres, remember, was very injury prone during that tournament and did not actually get a lot of minutes. And yes, David Villa was a clinical goal scoring for them. He is not an out-and-out number 9, right? So they went from 2008 Euros having this out-and-out figurehead in the front. Fernando Torres, remember, Torres was one of the best strikers, if not the best striker in the world at that time for Liverpool. Remember. But in 2010, they're forced to cope without an out-and-out striker. And I think that, there's other factors to play into it, but I do think that's one of the reasons why they got so many 1-0 wins, because they did not have that figurehead to put away the key chances and be super clinical with them. Because David Villa, he wasn't a true number 9. David Villa would shift out onto the left. He was more a left-sided forward, in my opinion, David Villa was. He was never an out-and-out number 9. He wasn't. Just my opinion. And you saw they ended up learning from the 2010 World Cup, even though they won the whole thing, And you saw this false nine kind of system for Spain. David Silva, Iniesta, Xavi Busquets. Oh my God! That goal, remember the goal, the Jordi Alba goal, the ball in behind to Jordi Alba to get that goal. It was just that's when Spanish football hit their peak. So I think this Spanish team, the big question always was, how about what happens when you bully them? What happens when you don't try to play toe to toe with them? And they answered the biggest question. They answered that call in that final. So for me, that Spanish team didn't have many questions. I don't have any questions left of that team. I think they answered all of them. They got past all their tests, and they beat a hell of a lot of good teams to get to to win their trophies. A hell of a lot of good teams. And no, I'm going to talk about the Argentina team, but they only went to a penalty shootout once. Once, guys. So that's Spain. Let's talk about Argentina. I'm already 15 minutes in the video. Wow. Argentina. Now, Argentina 2021, 2024. So back in 2021, let's set the scene. COVID, right? And, coming off a disappointing 2018 World Cup, I don't think a lot of people had outside of Argentinians, maybe, not a lot of people had expectation from this Argentina team, at least from my memory. There was Messi, and Messi was still doing his thing, still playing amazing, best player in the world at the time, 100%, right? But there wasn't this expectation that these guys would go and win this tournament. If anything, the favorites was Brazil, and the favorites was Brazil with Neymar. Neymar had a fantastic tournament that year. He was amazing. He was. And you see in this tournament that, sure, Messi shows up, and Messi had an amazing, yes, people like to clown Messi for dropping a disaster class in the final against Brazil, but Messi was so good this tournament, man. I think out of the, actually, no, I won't say that. I think the World Cup was definitely his best tournament out of these three, but damn, he was good in that Copa America 2021. Damn, this guy was good. But what you saw was, compared to the other Argentina teams, 2018, the Copa America teams that lost to Chile, even the 2014 team that got to the final, there is this weird cult-like belief and protection around Messi starting in 2021. It was weird. You felt that this was Messi's team, and everyone on this team was willing to die for him. You did not get that feeling from the other Argentina teams, but from this Argentina team in 2021, and even now, just this past weekend in the final, Messi's crying and Paredes comforts him and goes out there and drops a great performance off as a sub. You get this energy that Messi's the figurehead, and he's got a great supporting cast, and these guys are willing to die for this man. And they've got a great manager in Lionel Scaloni, who was just a caretaker manager. Remember, Lionel Scaloni was just a caretaker manager for 2021. He wasn't meant to stay on. But his man management skills and his management of this team and the passion and connecting with the players was so good. It was just the perfect fit. And now 3 trophies later, we'll get to those. So you had this weird cult-like behavior on this Argentina team. And for the first time in a minute, Messi had actual help. Di Maria was actually stepping up. Yes, Di Maria was in those Argentina teams, right? But he was never stepping up like he did in this tournament. He wasn't. And Di Maria really stepped up. Emi Martinez, who at the time, remember during COVID, he got his big break for Arsenal when Bernd Leno got injured against Brighton with the whole Maupay situation and the Arsenal fans beefing with Maupay. Emi Martinez got those games for Arsenal during COVID, got replaced by Ramsdale, and said, fuck it, I'm going to go to Aston Villa. And remember, Emi Martinez really broke in during COVID, and you see him, his personality really showed at this tournament. He's a prick. Emi Martinez is a prick, guys. At surface value, I hate that guy, but he's so good at this international shit that you have to respect it. So Messi had a goalie that had the best goalie now. He had a supporting cast in Di Maria who was going to be clutch for him. And he had a midfield in DePaul and, DePaul, Lo Celso, and Cuti Romero, and Otamendi. All these guys that were pulling up, ready to kill for Lionel Messi. And it's just the perfect blend. And you saw in that tournament, they started the tournament off iffy, 1-1 to Chile. And you're thinking, oh my God, Chile, the team that made this guy cry back in 2016 in Copa America Centenario, whatever it was, the 100-year anniversary, whatever it was. And then they get 1-0 wins against Uruguay, 1-0 wins against Paraguay. And to be honest, when I was watching that summer, I wasn't sure what to make of it. Like, this team was definitely better. I could sense the different energy, but I need a big win. I need a big win. And you see finally in that fourth group stage game, there was 4 group stage games that year. They did like 2 zonal groups. 4-1 against Bolivia. Then you go to the quarterfinal. You beat Ecuador 3-0, and then we're cooking. They get to the semifinal against a Colombia team. Remember, that Colombia team, that Argentina team would have some battles over the years. And one of the main battles was Yerry Mina really taking the piss, and Messi. That's one of the only players I've ever seen Messi hate. Yerry Mina, the center back, dancing. Remember, and they beat Colombia on pens. And you saw in the penalty shootout, Emi Martinez. You saw him grow into the role with all the eyes on him back at home. No fans in the stadium, obviously. You saw that. Oh yeah, in that penalty shootout, Messi has his goalie. Messi has his goalie to be successful. None of that Willy Caballero shit from 2018. Romero was a good goalie 2014, don't get me wrong, but none of that. This is a real international goalie, Emi Martinez. And you get to the final against Brazil. And I'm going to be honest, Brazil was the better team in that final. Neymar played one of the best games I've ever seen him play. But Argentina showed that they can stay resilient. They could get the job done, and they got the goal. Di Maria got the goal. 1-0 win, and they're Copa America champions. And Messi finally wins. Messi finally wins that trophy that he's been desperate for Argentina. And so we get to the 22 World Cup. And what's interesting, so we talked about the cult-like behavior, the protection of Messi. Now what's interesting is I felt that coming to the tournament, Argentina had no worries. Messi's had no worries. He's happy. He finally won that trophy for Argentina. But the tournament starts. And they go out one up against Saudi Arabia. And I think this is the best thing that could have happened for the Argentina team. I think if this result did not happen, Argentina would not have been your 2022 World Cup champions. I fully believe this. Argentina came into the tournament confident. That Latino flair, that Latino confidence, they all have it. If you're Latino, you know it. But all of a sudden, they lose 2-1 to Saudi Arabia. And you now see that this Argentina team, okay, reality check. If Argentina did not have that reality check, I am telling you, they did not win that World Cup. But they got the reality check, and you went into that Mexico game. That game was so tense. I remember watching at home thinking, this shit is cagey, man. And when Messi gets that goal outside the box, perfectly placed with his left foot in the bottom right-hand corner against Memo Ochoa, who's a World Cup legend goalie, always showing up in the World Cup, you saw and you felt, I personally felt through the screen, the sigh of relief from the Argentinian fans, the sigh of relief from Messi, and a boost in confidence, a boost in the aura was tangible. The desire, the team unity, I swear to God, was so tangible. Ow, my elbow. Through that screen when Messi scored that goal. And from there, they just grew. 2-0 Mexico, 2-0 Poland. Cagey match against Australia, but 2-1 win against Australia. The Netherlands. Just like Spain. The Dutch played good football in that game, but that was a cagey game where the Netherlands brought it to them physically. The Dutch were able to match their physicality. And that was their biggest test. That was their first big test of this tournament. The Dutch, who gave in 2010 Spain their big, rough and tough physical challenge. Now Argentina came up against them. And everything was smooth sailing. 2-0. 2-2. Wout Weghorst. And all of a sudden, you're in extra time like, holy shit. Cagey extra time. Enzo Fernandez, I believe, hit the post, if I remember correctly. Enzo Fernandez hit the post. Argentina was the better team in the extra time, but it goes to penalties. And you're looking, was Emi Martinez just a fluke in 2021, or is he going to step up again? And what do you know? He steps up again, and he shows that he is that guy. He's here to save Argentina. He's here to save Messi and to get Argentina that World Cup. And they go to the semifinal 3-0 against a very good Croatia team. Yes, this is a Croatia team kind of slowly tapering off since that 2018 World Cup. Don't get me wrong. But they're in the semifinal for a reason. They fucking beat Brazil on penalties. They're there for a reason. They beat them 3-0. And then we see in the final. And we saw it against the Netherlands that when this team is down, they're up comfortably 2-0 again. And maybe this is a fault in the team that this team would get comfortable and blow leads, would get caught off guard, i.e. Saudi Arabia, i.e. the Netherlands, i.e. France, up 2-0, completely wiping the floor with France for 70 minutes. Boom, Mbappe penalty. Boom, Mbappe. One of the best World Cup goals I've ever seen Mbappe score. 2-2. And you're in a situation now where your back is against the wall. The France team is growing. But in extra time, you guys take the lead. Messi gets the goal. But France gets another goal. It's 3-3. So it's this constant battle. Nothing's going to come easy for this team. And this Argentina team really showed character. And again, one of the last kicks of the game, Kolo Muani gets that volley chance. And who comes up again big? Emi freaking Martinez. And he shows that he's that guy. Gets the penalty saves. They win the World Cup. They come to this Copa, heavy favorites. They get the results. They win back-to-back. Argentina. Now, if I'm going to compare the two teams, who play now? Let's look at the squad. I'm sorry, guys. What makes Argentina special is that this team is willing to die for Messi. But something we have to point out about this Argentina team is that these guys don't win 3 in a row without Messi. Messi at that 2022 World Cup was on smoke. Messi was doing everything through Messi. Crazy assists, goals, scoring his penalties, being there for his team, scoring 2 freaking goals in the final. Messi was on smoke, and he had the fantastic supporting cast. But I think if you take Messi out of that team, maybe this team wins a Copa America, but they don't win a World Cup. They don't go back-to-back in Copa America. And I truly believe that because Messi is the heart and soul of this team. Without a Messi, without a figurehead like that, does this Argentina team play with the same kind of drive and passion? Yes, Argentina and their teams will always play with an immense passion, but without that figurehead in Messi, in conjunction with that heavy passion they already have as a base, created this storm. And I think if you take Messi out, do they have that same drive, that same intensity? I honestly don't believe so. And you look at that Spain team, that's just a team, man. There is no one they're relying on. Front to back, goalie to defense to midfield to the forward line. They never relied on anyone. Yes, David Villa was a consistent goal scorer for them, but it's not like the hopes of Spain rested on David Villa because they had plenty of quality in case there was no David Villa. You saw Fernando Torres got injured in the 2010 and what barely played a part, and they still won the whole thing, getting the job done in tight games. So squad-wise, I have to give it to Spain. Performance-wise, Argentina in these tournaments went to 4 penalty shootouts. Spain went to 1. They got these games done without pens. So the reason why I'm bringing that up is, you guys, penalties, yes, there's a skill behind penalties, behind scoring them, behind shooting them, and behind saving them. But penalties really is at its base, it's a toss of a coin. It is luck-based. Penalties is luck. And Argentina had to go to pens 4 times, and they ended up getting 4 times lucky. Yes, Emi Martinez for sure has proven that his specialty, one of his specialties, is being a penalty, a brilliant goalie from the spot kick, saving the spot kicks, right? But no matter how good you are as a goalie, there's immense luck for Argentina here to win 4 penalty shootouts. Spain just needed 1. They would get the games done without penalty shootouts. And another thing I want to hit on, and you could already guess who I think is the better dynasty, is the strength of the tournaments. Now, I would say up until World Cup 2022, Argentina had a very, Argentina's strength, the opponents Argentina played, the difficulty of their opponents and the games they played was on par with Spain's. But I'm sorry, this last Copa America, the quality was not the same. The quality was not the same. It wasn't. Their path to the final, Canada, Peru, Chile, Ecuador, and Canada, yes, they had to beat a very freaking good Colombia team. And let's be honest, like Spain in 2010, where Germany was the best footballing team, Colombia was the best footballing team in that tournament, this past summer. And Colombia was the better team in the final, but Argentina got the job done. So Argentina with Spain both have that ability to get the job done. But the strength of schedule, I think, was just stronger in those Euros competitions and in those World Cup competitions. And I think Spain beat the bigger teams to get their trophies. And overall, I do think, I'm making it sound like Spain is clearly the better team. if we're able to, this video isn't about what would happen if these two teams played, because that would be fascinating. That if we were able to see that, that would be fascinating. You got Argentina, who have this very technically sound players, and obviously Messi, the greatest technical player of all time, with that South American physicality, De Paul, Paredes, and all those guys, against a Spanish team who have all the technique, who have everything, and have had shown that they're able to overcome the physical teams, right? So, but this video was never about it hasn't been about who would win if they played. I'm just saying who was the better team, who was I more impressed with their dynasty. I'm gonna be with you, Spain, for the reasons I just said. This the depth of their team. They didn't rely on a single player like Messi. Their strength of schedule in their competitions was slightly stronger, in my opinion, and they did not need to rely on luck too much like Argentina did. As good as Emi Martinez is at saving penalty shootouts, saving spot kicks and penalty shootouts, winning 4 out of 4 penalty shootouts across 3 tournaments is immense luck, because those things are all luck. No matter how much you prepare for anything, I don't care what anyone says, penalties is luck, it's chance. And so for those reasons, and you know how Argentina will play as a team, them as a collective unit, I do think Argentina is the better dynasty team. However, although I said that Argentina, in my opinion, no way they win the 2026 World Cup in the United States, in North America. But if Argentina were to go back-to-back Copa America, back-to-back World Cup, then none of this conversation doesn't matter, because a team that wins 4 back-to-back international tournaments is better than the team that wins 3 back-to-back international tournaments, back-to-back World Cup winners. So if they go and do that, and without a doubt, Argentina, best dynasty ever. But for now, 3 trophies to 3, taking everything into account, I think Spain is the better dynasty. If you like the video, like it then. Let me know you did. If you agree, let me know. This has been Okage Poo, you guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.